3.
Hello!
Welcome to Bad at Board Games.
He's bad at board games.
My name's Brad Blake.
My name's Haiden Lake.
We're bad at board games, so you don't have to be.
Today we'll be talking about
Star Wars Shatterpoint. And I didn't buy this. Well, I kind of bought this, but he wanted it, so we bought it. And here we are.
talking about it.
Exactly. Stick around to the end. Find out what our BGG rating is. Find out what the value rating is for this box set. You get quite a bit in it. Is it worth it? And find out what the weight rating is, our pros, our cons. We'll try to give you a deep dive into this game. It's pretty slick. So, Hayden, what is the theme? As if you couldn't guess.
It's Star Wars, of course. My favorite. Been into this since I was a little kid because of that old man right there. Specifically the prequels and the Clone Wars TV show, if anybody has heard of that. I hope you have if you're watching this. Probably the best Star Wars media that has ever been created. And he's going to be talking about the publisher and designer now.
As I get the cheat sheet out of the way. Normally that's out of the way. So it doesn't have a designer. It was by a company called Atomic Mass Games, and they don't have any one designer specifically for this game. Just the company. So, boo-hoo. But they bought Star Wars Legion from Fantasy Flight Games, and then they continue to try to evolve that space and everything. So Fantasy Flight sold off their Star Wars stuff for that model purposes. But pretty cool stuff. What do you think about the appearance and the graphics on the cards and the models and the miniatures and the terrain?
So coming at it from a Clone Wars, I absolutely love it.
Mm-hmm.
Looks very similar to in the show. Like, the models look fantastic. I especially love the Grievous model right here, and the Darth Maul model.
Mm-hmm.
Two of my favorites out of the whole collection. And like I said, the very, very much like the cartoons, which is something that I am a huge fan of.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't wait to just paint these models. I'm super, super excited to do that. Just because of how intricate and detailed they are.
Yeah, we did kind of like a test paint on the battle droids here, and the cartooniness is kind of like the exaggerated features from the Clone Wars, and it carries over into all the cards that you see, and everybody has their own card, and their stats, their specials are on here, and then they have another card that kind of gives you your stats and how you roll and do damage and things like that. But I think it feels Star Wars. All the terrain actually comes in the box, which is surprising.
Fantastic.
Typically you only get the models, but you're getting quite a bit of terrain in this, and you're getting a lot of models. And I think for the appearance, these are the best models since Fantasy Flight, Games Workshop. So we're giant.
No, I would agree with that.
Yeah, we're giant Games Workshop fans. Every other model's in comparison, typically, even Simon or anybody else.
It's just not the same.
It's soft plastic. So this is actually hard ABS plastic. The lightsabers, I've never seen anybody be able to pull something off with how fine these look. They come across just fantastic on the table.
Clipping them out is a pain in the ass, but it's definitely worth it.
Yeah.
Just, you have to be very, very careful.
Yeah, so it's a model. You are putting these together. You don't have to paint them, but if you do, you'll reap the rewards by doing so.
And again, even just a little bit will go a long way.
Yeah, but all of this fit in this box. So well done. Going into the mechanics of the game, it's a skirmish game. You're going to be rolling dice. They've kind of gone into this custom instead of a D6. You've got custom gray dice for attack, and you've got custom D6s for your defense. And depending on what your card is, you're going to be rolling either attack for range or attack in melee, or defense in range or defense in melee. So it's not too difficult, but you do kind of have to look at and start to understand the icons that they have in here. The box that he got had all languages.
Yeah, so if you buy the starter set, it just comes with English. But for the other expansion boxes like Grievous or Kenobi that we have here, it comes with every single language. So if you have that one friend that's trying to learn a language, you could be like, here, have that. Go.
Yeah. There's several. It's like there's 3 or 4 different sets of languages in that expansion. So found that
German,
interesting.
Spanish, Polish, and one more that I can't remember off the top of my head. French. Yeah.
So quite a bit. But we've really enjoyed it. So kind of our overview of the game. So I gotta finish mechanics. Sorry. This is normally Toast's job. So anyway, but you've got, it's a skirmish game. You're using a couple different movement dice depending on if you're climbing, you're using a shorter one. Everything else, if you're going straight, is using this longer one. So that's fairly easy to use. Each character, each squad has player powers. You're going to move each individual squad by themselves. They don't move in like multiple bases at a time, so you don't have to worry about that. And then, like I already mentioned, there's dice involved. And then you have this, there's randomness. So for those of you who have played like Cosmic Frog or something, you're going to have a stack of cards and they're going to have your characters on them. Shadow Grievous, Shatterpoint, which is a wild. You got the droids. You're going to have a stack of cards sitting there. You're going to draw the top of that stack, and you can either choose to reserve that card and draw another one to play and move that unit, or you can play the unit that you've drawn. So it's kind of, you're not able to just like go and gang rush things and go after people, and then you're always playing to an objective. So the other mechanic of the game is you're going to have, nine spots out on the board, and they're going to be flipping either to the,
Active
capture
or
the flag.
deactive.
Yeah, active or deactive. And so it's kind of that capture the flag kind of thing. Do I have more people on this spot? Do I have the high ground? A lot. Ben Kenobi. And, moving around and things like that. 3. Okay, Hayden, kind of take us through the turn sequences of the game now that we've kind of seen the mechanics overall. What are we actually doing turn by turn, step by step?
So to start off the game, you're going to roll 5 of the attack dice. And whoever has the most critical symbols, which is the hit symbol with a circle around it, gets to be the first player, or gets to choose to be the first player.
And are they the first player throughout the whole game?
And they are the first player throughout the whole game. So that means they'll draw their character cards first and activate and have the first turn and all that fun stuff for the rest of the game, no matter what. And what you'll do is you'll first flip over a objective card, a number 1 objective card, which will tell you which objectives will be active for that round. And we'll get to rounds in a second. So after that has been completed, the first player will flip over one of their Shatterpoint cards. So in this case, I got Anakin Skywalker.
And you're going to have a deck of those cards mixed and shuffled every time.
Depending on who you have in your army.
Mm-hmm.
So with Anakin, I have 2 different actions that I have 2 actions that I can take. I can either play the card, or I can spend what is called a Will of the Force token, which all named characters get for your army. And it's a limited pool.
Yeah, you're going to have a pool of Force tokens, essentially, and they can refresh after you've gone through your whole deck.
Yep. Or you can play a Force token to reserve the card and play it at a later date and and use another card from your deck. So in this case, I'm going to be using Anakin Skywalker.
Overpowered. Overpowered.
As my character. And so there are multiple actions you can do. So the first one would be the move action. So if I'm just moving Anakin on the flat surface, I butt the rounded part up to his base and go to the back of the base at the edge. That is a normal move.
And that's one of your 2 actions you can take on your turn.
Mm-hmm. And you'll use the small one and do the same thing. You'll get as close as you can to where the model is and measure it. and move up the building.
The thing to notice that is it's still using the horizontal distance. You're not trying to put it at an angle or doing any of that other stuff. So it's trying to simplify some of the movements that may be new to some of you, but it is nice that it's just like, okay, if I'm going to go up 1, 2, 3 flights, it's just this horizontal short stick, and you need to be able to fit your whole model. Can't be hanging off the edges or anything like that.
Then there is the attack, which is, again, what we were talking about before with the different cards.
And so you're going to see how many dice you roll on here, whether it's a melee or shooting attack, and it'll tell you which dice you roll depending on if you're the attacker or the defender for each case. And then you have some special abilities down here that you can kind of look into the rules and see how those play. And then if you're the attacker, you're going to follow one, two, or three paths depending on which hero or villain that you're using at the time. So, any other actions that you can take? You can move, and you can
move,
attack.
You can fight, and then your heroes have specific actions as well. So Anakin has an ability called Force Jump. Again, it takes a Will of the Force token that you'll flip over, and then he can do what is called a jump action. And instead of having to use the small movement to go up and down, he gets to use the long one because he's jumping over the terrain.
Master Jedi.
Exactly. And from there, that is like after you do those two actions, your unit activation ends, and you'll resolve any end of turn effects like scoring the objectives, having these different tokens, or anything like that.
So it's a nice system because you know you only have two actions on your turn: move and attack. And on these cards, they're going to let you do something else, and if it has a certain symbol on it, it means it takes one of your actions. Some of the other ones are like free actions or passive actions. So from that standpoint, it makes it pretty easy to learn.
Yes.
Now, it's not that there's not a lot of stuff going on, and you do have to kind of like, oh, is this and that, but it's still, we were up and running with getting the rules 90% right really quick. It didn't take us that long, and then we found out, okay, this symbol means that, and then, okay, this didn't seem right in our play, so how does that work? But you could get up and playing this fairly quickly, and all the rules that you need to know for your squad or for your people that you're using are right here. And usually we set them kind of like top to bottom, so you're going to have this whole deck of cards, laid out left to right in front of you. But that might be a con, but we'll get to that later. What's next?
After that, you'll move the struggle token. This is a key mechanic of the game. So
this is how you win, right?
Yes, this is how you win the game. So every time you score an objective, you'll move a clear cube to your side of the field. And every character you kill, you'll add a black cube to your side of the field. And if those two cubes ever meet, you win the game. So killing your opponent's characters are very important, but it's also important that you don't just forget about the objectives, because you'll just end up losing. Because even if I kill 7 of his guys, he may have it all the way down here and still win the game.
If every turn I was getting the objectives and he wasn't getting any, it would keep getting further and further. So you've got this tug of war mechanism going back and forth, but then there's a way to shorten that win condition. And by character, most of the time people use characters as like the heroes and such, but the base, anybody on a base is considered a character.
Yes.
As soon as you wound one, it's not even kill. Like, I know a lot of people don't like player elimination or stuff. These guys have, they get 10, let's say 10 wounds, and then you take a token and flip it over, and then they have 10 more wounds. So if you wound one, you get a black cube that makes it easier for you to win. Then the second time, they're out of the game, but you get this, it's not just a bad roll of the dice or I made a bad decision, they're immediately out of the game. So that's nice too, that for people who don't like this, oh, I'm just getting rolled and I'm getting steamed, your guys aren't going to die the first time out, and your Jedis and heroes, like, they get 3 of those.
Mm-hmm.
So you have this chance to stick around and keep doing things and everything else. So that's the general overview of the turns, right?
Yep.
So that's it. There's not a lot. There's a lot of other board games that have more things going on and like 10 steps and everything. It's like you get 2 and then your opponent gets 2 actions. And then you get 2 actions and your opponent gets 2 actions. You're basically just randomly picking which characters, and you're hoping like, oh, I hope Grievous gets it this time so I can go over and beat up Anakin and then still die. But because he's overpowered. But,
and as he should be. He is the chosen one.
Should be overpowered. As overpowered as he is. So, what are some of your pros about the game? So you said some of your friends love it, some of your friends think it's horrible, but what are your pros?
So my pros are, if you play it like we've been playing it,
mm-hmm.
It is a 45-minute, 30 to an hour-long game, depending on how your opponent plays.
I would say close to an hour. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think it's and so one of my pros is that as well. So and when he says way we've been playing it, the way the game's set up is to win 2 out of 3 rounds.
So when I say you flip over this at the start of the game, that's round 1.
Yeah, and so you have to actually get this push and pull
3 times
to win 3 times. This takes a long time, and
especially in the first round.
Yeah, so it can go faster after that, but we prefer to do 1 round. And if we wanted to play best out of 3, we would reset everybody, bring everybody back to full health, and play. Mm-hmm. It's not how the game is set up. We just have found that we like it a lot better that way. Goes faster.
Makes it a skirmish game.
And we don't feel like the game's overstayed its welcome. Mm-hmm. So, what other kind of positives do you have?
Minis are fantastic.
Yeah.
And then. I didn't think I would like these, they're called stance cards in the game. I didn't think I would like them very much, but after playing it a few times, I really do enjoy it. Having each character be unique in their own way and do different things is very, very, very fun and very Star Wars, because you're not, what is it? The, Gar Saxon isn't going to be the same as Captain Rex. Captain Rex isn't the same as Commander Cody. Like, these characters should act and feel different, and these cards allows them to do that more than anything else I could really say before.
Mm-hmm. And I would say positive for me is that they act like how you think they should in the movie. Like, the way that they're kind of setting them up with their skills and their powers, go along with the theme and how you visualize them in combat or visualize what they might be able to do, or, hey, this squad isn't as dorky as it was in the movie. I kind of like this guy. So I don't really feel like I may have pluses and minuses to I'm typically playing the bad guys, but I like the feel of how they play and what they're supposed to be doing with their specials and things like that. So, other pros?
Another pro is I really like. It depends. Depends on the day you ask me. Some of the icons are very readable. Some of them are not. Specifically, the character icons, the ones that are on the character sheets specifically. Mm-hmm. They're the ones that tell you if you have an active ability, a reactive ability, an innate ability, tactics ability, identity abilities. There's 5 different icons on these cards, and they can sometimes just get muddled. Just when you have a lot of things going on and in your mind, you just look over it and you're like, oh, what do I do again here? What can this character actually do? And that's one thing I don't necessarily like about it. But then you have the ones that are in the front right here. Oh, that's damage. It has this damage symbol on it. Oh, that's injured. It's got the injured symbol on it. Oh, that's blooded. Oh, you're bleeding. Suppressed. Cool. Um, and then disarmed. Oh, you can't use your gun. It's those symbols I like. The symbols on the dice are nice and readable. Again, it's really just the card symbols on the cards where it gets very muddled for me.
Yeah, so you're gonna have a set of icons here, set of icons here. So there are a lot, but you start to get used to it. But sometimes you're like, oh, that just means damage, but oh, it didn't just mean damage. It meant that person already takes a wound. You don't have to roll the damage on top of it. So it's kind of trying to understand some of the intricacies of that. So I would agree. Another pro that I liked is this changing objectives. So we've played it we've played it 3 different ways, I think. We've played it way the rule state in the game where you keep this objective card out and these objectives don't change until somebody wins based on this push or pull. We have also played it where we flip this card to a new objective every turn. So like Hayden would go and I would go.
And when we reshuffle our decks, we switch it to a new objective.
So every time one of us would shuffle a new card, it would change the objectives. That way it wasn't so static. And we really enjoyed that. It felt like more of this shifting objective. Things are happening on the battlefield instead of this just static.
This is where I want to keep my guys.
This is where I'm going to keep my guy. I can't move my guy anymore because if I move, I don't get the victory point. I like that ever-shifting battle mechanism more, honestly. And it just allowed me to feel like I'm moving my characters around more than just sitting there. So that's a little bit of difference. You know, we have like I said, we've played it 3 different ways, but we prefer that method the best, I think.
And again, for a skirmish game, I love that. I love the randomness. One of my favorite skirmish games is Warcry. I love that game to death. And the randomness that the cards generate for you at the beginning of the game is one of my favorite parts about it. And even though it's not rules as written, having that in here is one of my favorite things because it means, oh shit, I got to adjust my strategy than what I thought I was going to be doing.
So we're going to go on to some of our cons. We have a lot. We've already mentioned how nice we like the models and everything. But Hayden, what's one of your cons?
As I was saying, the icons on the cards sometimes aren't the best. Specifically, the experience icon on the dice is not my favorite, especially when it's different than the experience icon on the defense dice.
Yeah, it could have been the same.
A little less surface area, but it could very well be the same. The space for the game can take up quite a bit of room. You need a 3x3 table to play the game, and then I would say you need another foot in one direction for your cards.
Yeah, because all these are going to have to sit outside your
play area.
Yeah, where you start. So, or you're going to move all your guys, and then you're going to start laying your cards where your guys were after they first moved, so that you have space. So, my biggest con of this is the way in the rules it says that you have to go through 3 full rounds of this push and pull.
2 technically.
Yeah, well, best out of 3, right? And so, as these start to fill up, if these stayed filled, I would say then it would go faster. Your second and third rounds could be like super quick, but they don't. You reset this whole board, and then push and pull starts again. Where you're gonna have 8 spaces left to right, on this push and pull where you're only really ever getting maybe two. It's lucky you ever would get a 3. So it's typically like I'm moving it 2 to my side, and then Hayden might move it 1, or he might move it 2. It's not this big giant swing where I move it 8 and you move it 6 and things like that. You don't have that many objectives out on the table.
Especially when it gets into the later rounds, like rounds 2 and 3.
Everybody's crowded around one objective, maybe 2. So I thought, and I won't speak for you, I'll let you talk, but I thought it overstayed its welcome when I had to do it 3 times for what it considered one game.
Yeah.
It really felt like we played an hour, and I'm like, I don't want to play this an hour every turn. Now it turned out when we did the other ones, it was faster because you had already lost people, but the randomness came in a little bit more versus being able to just strategize on it.
Yeah. So I would agree with my dad. The second and third rounds came down to, oh, look at this. Oh, that's where my guys are. Okay, cool. I'm going to win this round because you can't get to me.
Yeah, so you're going to roll a dice, and then you're going to pick, oh, I want this to be the objective, and this is what the board's going to look like. And, oh, you rolled that too. So there's only one objective, and it's in my deployment area. And, oh, by the way, you're just never going to win this round. So you immediately get put on a disadvantage. And it's meant as a catch-up mechanic in a way for that second round, but then it makes that second round almost not worth it. Like, why not just have one really great round and then just like, good job, and then start over?
Yeah. Because, like we were saying, the way we play it, it takes 45 minutes if you know the game. 30 to 45, in my opinion. The way they want you to play it, it takes...
It's an hour and a half to 2.
It takes 45 minutes for the first round. And it'll take, depending on how you roll and how the game is going, it'll take between 20 to another 45 minutes. Just because, oh, cool, I rolled bad. The opponent that won the last round is in good positions for this round. Oh, they just won. And it can feel like, oh, I thought I did everything right to set myself up for the second round, but then
came down to a die roll.
Yeah, which screws you. And yes, dice games do come down to die rolls, but it's better when it comes down to oh, look at this. My Ahsoka is fighting your Darth Maul, just like the TV show, and oh man, my Darth Maul failed a 1 save, and that's how you lose the game.
Yeah.
That feels 100 times better than, oh wow, okay.
This is the card I get, and I didn't roll well.
I lose the game.
Yeah, I lose that round completely. There's nothing I can do about it. Like, and that's what was happening to us in that second round. It wasn't even close. So it was like that wasn't fun. But the whole first round,
it has always been a blast.
It's been a blast. So it was like, we're not going to play with that anymore. We like just playing a one shot and done. So, any other cons?
This thing.
The force push stick.
Yeah. So all you're using is that, and so trying to maneuver this thing into areas, so like it's nice to have it,
but you're not your force push isn't much of a force push.
Why can't I use this for the force push? Like, cool, I get to move my guy an inch and a half, maybe, compared to like 3-4 inches. Why? Why? That's just a complaint for me. Force pushes don't feel like force pushes, or like you're actively pushing someone back. It feels like, oh, they stumbled backwards.
Yeah, you want it to be more like movie force push. Psh, I'm shoving you across, but mechanically wise, it does work. But you just need more of them and stuff, and so it doesn't make you feel
nice.
It doesn't make you feel all super cool.
It's also another one where the symbol is almost identical to this one.
Yeah, it's so close.
The only difference between the two is this one has lines through it. This one, oh no, sorry. This one is slightly pointed. This one is square.
Yeah. So
that is the only difference between the two.
it's very strange. Very strange. So I would say a con on my side is you're going to end up with a lot of chits. So all these chits we have, all the wound tokens, all the damage tokens. If you're special condition, like I have cover, I don't have cover, I'm bleeding, I got disarmed, you're going to end up putting all these little chits out on your guys, and all that's out on the board. There's a lot, so if you've never used this kind of a system, maybe a bit much for you, but they are good, they work well, but you will be having all your guys out there, and then you'll be taking these markers. Oh, he got wounded, and oh, then he took a blood, and oh, this guy got disarmed, and put that there. So those are going to kind of be all over. Now, I got used to it, but it was still a lot of, okay, which little token do I got to find? Where's that token? It's a bit of a con, in my opinion. Now, it's typical in games like this. Maybe not this many, but you're going to have some kind of condition. Typically, it's resolved immediately, but these are like lasting conditions that are going to stay there until the next round.
Or until you do what that condition says.
Any other cons? I think I have one more. That would be it.
No. What's your last one?
So my last one is when one of your characters flips over to being wounded, they can no longer get hurt. And it's a blessing and a curse for the player who owns that character until the next time their card comes up, and you have a whole stack. If you have like 6 people, right, you're going to go through all these cards, and once you refresh those cards, they can't get hurt until they come back. That's a blessing for the person who's wounded. It's a curse when it's like everybody else that activates around that person now can't do anything. So like you're going to end up in these skirmishes. You're going to finally hurt somebody, and then you can't leave the objective, and you can't hurt the person. So then your turn is sitting there with your character doing nothing. You kind of want to go off and shoot or go off and help somebody, but you can't because it's more important to get the objective and sit there and do nothing for your turn than anything else. So that's kind of a downside, and it's meant to stop somebody from getting steamrolled and completely like, oh, I flipped you, I wounded you, on the next turn I'm going to just keep shooting you, and now that ball is out of the game. Mm-hmm. I get why it's there, but there's frustrating times about it as well.
So I'm going to add on light bulb.
Yeah.
It makes ranged characters a lot better than the Jedi sometimes, just because, okay, I'm going to shoot you from this far away, and oh look, you're no longer active on the objective, so I don't care, I'm going to shoot another one of your characters. Mm-hmm. And it makes the Jedi, who are just for the most part all melee units, mm-hmm. They may have a ranged attack here or there, but it makes them feel less valued, especially if they don't have something on their attack card mm-hmm. that allows them to move when they attack. Yeah. And then, even then, you can roll bad and not get back to that objective that you needed to get to.
Yeah. And I would say we're not the best at it, but like the Jedi and stuff, they have 2 different stance cards they can have. And so like Darth Maul does have a range on this side, and he doesn't on this side. But you have to pick that at the beginning of the round, which stance you're going to be in. So it's not like, oh, I'm now activated, I can just flip this, if I remember right.
I'm fairly confident, yes.
Yeah, so we may have gotten that rule wrong.
May get that wrong.
But, there are ways to mitigate that, but it's just kind of a thing to be aware of. But we still really like the game. So those are, I can't think of any other cons off the the top of my head.
Not really.
Okay. The weight rating on this, so this comes in at a BGG rating of 3.5. This is not typically a board game, but it is atomic mass. It is part of the whole Star Wars universe, so it is definitely has a BGG page there. So compared to a board game, it's saying it's harder than Castles of Burgundy. It's not as hard as a Lacerda. I would say for a skirmish game, this is in the middle realm or even easier than most. Like it's easier than most.
I would say this is the easiest skirmish game that I have played.
Yeah, so a lot of them get so hyper focused on rule and books and books and books and books. Warcry and Kill Team came out from Games Workshop and has made that easier and more accessible. But
there's still
a lot going on. But Warcry at least has cards,
yes,
right? And they have changing objectives. So this has been nice that instead of just one card, you now have two, so they can do a few more things. But it is you can get into this system. It doesn't mean it's a lightweight strategic game, but I think it allows easy access for those who kind of want to have a battle, right? So I think 3.5 is probably right, but just for board game purposes. Now, for skirmish game purposes, I would say this is on the medium light weight rating for anybody else that plays war games.
I would say it's on the light side of rules bloat and everything like that. It's mainly getting used to icons, and once you get used to the icons, it's up to player skill.
Definitely, the weight rating doesn't take away from the game. So the value of this, so I typically talk about value between a 1 and a 5. A 1, if this were like $50 for all of this, I would say this is a value of 5. If this were $500, I would say this is a value of 1 or a negative 5. But this is selling right now on Amazon. Now, not including General Grievous and Kenobi, is like $137. So, but you still get the buildings. And there's a lot of terrain in here. Now, if you're going to go to Games Workshop and just buy the terrain, you'd spend $137 just on the terrain, not even the models. So, because you get all the models and you get all the terrain, and this isn't all of it, I think it's a great deal. I think this is at least a 4 for a game of this caliber. Now, adding Grievous and Kenobi, you're going to add another $30 or $40.
It's going to be another $80.
Oh, $80. So that was a very expensive box. So that might not be a 4.
So it's
just the base game
40 for. So every booster pack upgrade, which comes with another squad, is $40. So Grievous, with his commando droid and his B2s, is $40. Kenobi with Cody and his 212th troopers is $40. Cad Bane with his squad of goons is $40. That type of deal.
Got it. So you're getting a leader, a middleweight guy, and 2 plebes. So, and that's how all the squads are set up. So you're just going to be playing that way, where you're either going. If I have a leader, Hayden's going to have a leader. If I have a middle guy, Hayden's going to have a middle guy, and then I'll have 2 plebes and he'll have 2 plebes, and then that's one squad. And then if you're going to add another squad for balance, you're going to add that pyramid effect again. So we've really enjoyed that part of the system as well, I should say. But I think this is a 4 out of 5 for the base game because of all the terrain you get and the models that you get in it, and the models are exceptional. So BGG rating, Hayden. You got this. You were pretty interested in it. Between a 1 and a 10. So a 7 is you like it and you'd play it. An 8 is like you would recommend it and you're gonna, really into it. 9 and 10s or 9 and 10s. They're great games. So 6 could be you could take it or leave it. You'd play it, but you're not like asking to play it anymore.
So if you play it rules as written, I will give it a 6. I don't think this game has any right to be an hour and a half or 2 hours long. It's just not worth something like this.
So the whole best 2 out of 3, those rules written.
Those rules as written.
Yeah.
You get bored and you get upset. Or at least I got upset because it feels like there becomes a point where you can't do anything. Because, oh, well, you killed half my army the first go around, or wounded half my army the first go around. So if you wound another guy, I'm going to have to take him off the field. And you start taking guys off and you get demoralized, and like it doesn't feel good. The first round always feels fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
If you're playing just one round and resetting each time,
so if that was your rule, what would your rating be if you just played one round?
It would probably be a 7.5 out of 10. It is a game that I want to keep playing, but I have to recommend it on the stipulation that this is how you have to play it, or at least this is how I have to play it to have fun. Because if I'm playing it the way the book intends, I will not have fun.
It just takes too long.
It takes too long. I don't necessarily like that first round's over, now flip over the second round card.
Mm-hmm.
I like okay, so we finished our hand, let's flip over the next one. Okay, we finished our hand, let's flip over the next one.
Yeah.
That is what I like. I enjoy that, but not the round 1, fight, round 2, fight, round 3, fight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, shifting objectives.
Yeah.
So my BGG rating, rules as written, I have to agree with Haiden. It's a 6 out of 10. Now, rules as written, best 2 out of 3 is a game. So I, playing it just one round, think this is an 8 out of 10. Maybe an 8 out of 10. I enjoyed this. I haven't found a skirmish game that I've enjoyed as much as this. So it's been quite the surprise. We got COVID. We've played it almost every day. This last week we've played a lot. So we got quite a few games in on this now. And other than Anakin being completely overpowered and needing to be debuffed, I think the game is great. So, rules as written, a 6. If you just want to play one round of the tug of war, I think it's an 8, 8.5. I think it's an incredible game. So, what do you think? Are these games of interest to you? I know some of you like to talk about painting and want to see us maybe do some painting. Maybe we'll take some video of us painting them and how we might paint them. That's going to be a whole thing to figure out how we're going to do that, or just give some quick tips and things, maybe some shorts about, hey, use this kind of paint, use this kind of brush. But we really enjoy it. We enjoy painting when it suits us. It doesn't always like you can be like, I just don't want to paint. But what do you think? Is this your kind of game, your kind of models, or you just have no interest, but you enjoyed watching this? So thank you very much for watching. You got anything to say?
No, thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.
And just remember, no matter how you play, whether it's solo, with family, or friends, enjoy what you bring to the table. Good night.